welcome.
I have to be 100% honest. I had no idea that it was time. 1 second I was rapping, and the next second I heard the song, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And then I looked, and I was like, "Okay, I guess." I had no idea.
You were. You had like a flashlight. Your glasses were on, and you were like rapping. And I was like, "Bye."
No, and then I was like, "Oh shit!" I took the glasses off. I put the light on. I was like, "Oh shit, okay."
Oh shit! I thought that was the vibe we were going for.
Welcome everybody to Bobby's Cryptid Corner. My name is Bree.
My name is Tony, the bottled cannibal.
Ooh, I love
And
that.
you know what? Everyone keeps asking me, like, Jamie, when are you going to respond? When are you going to clap back? But you know what? I'm winning, and that's the best clap back there is. So everybody, I am winning.
That's right.
Want to clap back to what?
It was oh my god! It was Lizzo's acceptance speech. That's literally what. Never mind.
Oh my bad.
It's okay. It's okay. You didn't get it. That's all right.
So to answer, Spooky Morales here, Bobby is not here tonight.
Oh yeah, baby's not here
because he's a douchebag.
We'll go with that.
I'm mad at him because I made him a special video
upset.
For a special segment that he does, and now we can't even play it because he's not here for it.
Yeah. But I feel like I know what he would have recommended. I wish I could remember the name of the movie because he recommended it to me, and I watched it, and it is in fact about the Wendigo.
Oh, actually, speaking of that is also our drinking word because that's what we're talking about. So go ahead and drink it.
This tastes like ass. But it does have a cool crystal on it though. Like what?
Oh wow! Not everything that glitters is gold.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
This is going to be a really interesting episode. I feel like I thought that I was going to come in with the mass amount of information.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We'll see what we have, but I don't know about you guys. But the more I looked into the Wendigo,
drink.
I'll do it. Yep, it's me.
It's a bit different than what I feel like I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
So before we do, we can't forget to talk about the people in the chat.
Yeah, hey to everyone.
Hey everyone, we got Spooky Morales is here. We got David Gosling. Enzo's
Smith,
here, so we can have a real show. Chad Smith podcast.
Vanessa Wendigo herself is here. The expert.
Gotta hit it.
Whoops. Hides in long grass. Brown Dwarf.
Always good to see you.
Moon Pie. So welcome everybody. Welcome to another fantastic episode. So Bree, why don't you bring up our slide? Hey Monster Radio, what's up? What's good?
What's up?
I just remembered that I was supposed to add Vanessa to this and I didn't. So
get mad at Bree, not me.
Yeah.
Yes. So Bobby's absent, so we last minute I added sus. Cause fuck you. We can go back to fuck you, Bobby.
Oh, we can. Fuck you, baby. Fuck you, baby.
Bobby. Fuck you, baby. So the Wendigo is that big thing in the center.
Yep, the big thing in the center.
That big boy. That big boy.
Once again, I just want to point out that Bree has gone above and beyond with her
presentations.
There she is, hiding behind the rock with her goat.
Can I just say, low-key, it also kind of looks like in this exact photo that we were victims of Dyatlov Pass.
Low-key, absolutely.
Low-key,
maybe
what I'm saying?
That's what it was.
Mm-hmm. It could have been.
Oh, thank you.
Wow, thank you, David. Appreciate it.
Is that €2?
2 euros.
Is it 2 pounds? Those are 2 British pounds. 2
British pounds. Oh, Kari will have to translate that for us. We don't speak British.
Wait,
hey, Danielle, pretty lady.
So, That would have been a long. Never mind. I'm I was going to go down.
Reboot Bree.
Reboot me. I was going to go down a path that had nothing to do with this, and I'll just say I was going to ask if since American currency has a higher rate than British currency, then if you're like 100 pounds here, does that make you like 80 pounds in Europe? It's just stupid.
Except they weigh themselves in stones.
Yeah. So
yeah, I'm 6
they don't
stones.
Use pounds. Yeah, they're like
I'm 6 stones.
6 stones.
Stones is better than tons. What if they're like, oh, I'm 6 tons?
No, they still have tons, but they spell tons fucking stupid. So
we're just over here hating on British culture as always.
I know.
All
Anyway.
day, every day. Why we had a revolution. Fucking hate us.
We did. Fucking hate us. Tell me, there are so many monsters or cryptids or just beings that I feel like we label as evil when they look like half goat or half deer, whatever it is. When there's horns, it's like you can't tell me this. People don't think of the devil.
The devil for sure immediately.
Right, the classic Judeo-Christian depiction,
which is not cool.
Yeah,
Baphomet, not cool.
Mm-hmm. Not cool.
Okay, not cool at all. So the Wendigo. Just really quick, basically, we're talking about an evil spirit or a malevolent monster. He is tall / giant because in some of the texts, different stories, they will just be like taller than the trees or something, which is wild. Razor sharp teeth, obviously, like this one here. A cannibal. Eats humans. So again, that word cannibal, we will revisit why that would be the case. Forever bloodthirsty, but yet remains this skeletal frame, forever hungry, just emaciated, but yet constantly eating. It's like an endless cycle. It's a bottomless pit. Heart of ice. Has the definitely associated with colder weather and storms, and in some stories, a Wendigo can actually bring on a snowstorm. Ragged looking, of course, look like it's literally roadkill that has been demonized. Incredibly fast, and of course the horns, the antlers, and a foul odor. Smells like ass.
That's like with a lot of cryptids, though. There's the smell about them. And I'm wondering if that's just the smell of like feral animals in general, because they usually,
people who aren't used to. They
don't take baths.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to associate it with maybe something negative. Well, every cryptid that's negative seems to have the foul odor, but also in other paranormal situations, people that are ghost hunting or whatever, they think maybe this isn't a ghost, this is a demon. People have reported a foul odor.
Like sulfur.
And then when you try to see the linkage here to aliens, which we're always trying to do, or that I should say, which we've noticed, there are, a particular sector of so-called ETs that go by the reptilian race, maybe the Draco, and they've also been reported as smelling like ass.
Like ass.
Just so bad. Just foul, disgusting, swass beings. So maybe there's something about a foul-scented creature. Maybe it just all of a sudden, like Danielle's comments kind of right on, in my opinion, is maybe like they're rotting. Like maybe it's such a rotten soul.
So there's themes that we're gonna see throughout the story of the Wendigo.
Ooh, drink it. And the version of it that we see today, because it's morphed over time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm jumping into that first, yeah.
Especially the cannibalism part that didn't come until later.
The cold weather, the brutal environments, the insatiable appetite, the cannibalism. This is all a theme that plays very much into this creature.
And its lore.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Absolutely. Big time. The smell. Hungry. Just make me eat. So the beginning of the story, like most of cryptids, I feel like I could say it kind of
99.9%.
the natives.
The
natives. This all comes from the Algonquin peoples. This is the biggest chunk of overall tribes that all speak Algonquin languages. They were basically all of North America. Everywhere that you see that kind of darker tanned print there, you can see that it is in fact United States, but also Canada. So it's very much Northern America. You can kind of see how they've like migrated out.
Yeah, it was interesting when I first started to look into this. I knew that it had a Native American background, but it was interesting to find that it was the Native American people who lived more up in the Canadian area than it did necessarily the United States. It was much more prevalent up there than it was down here. I mean, it is down here now, but it originated more in the Canadian area.
Yes and no.
Well, that kind of lends to that winter harshness.
Exactly.
Right. It definitely is in the winter harsh areas, but Canada, although it looks like it covers such a large area, that's the land that it encompassed, but the number of people does not equate even close to what it is in the United States.
Oh, interesting.
So,
okay.
I mean, we're looking at literally just land. We're not talking about people, tribes. The numbers in tribes of actual members, people, is vastly like the main majority here in the United States. Yeah. Canada has a lot of land, but not a lot of people.
I was gonna say, is that because maybe the land that's up there in those areas up in Canada that's highlighted are areas that aren't populated necessarily, more like foresty, like middle of nowhere areas, so there's much more ground to cover, whereas in the United States it's more populated, there's not as much open land, and so that's why you have more cases down here in America.
Well, I think from this is kind of like how the tribes migrated. And I mean, that whole area of Canada, like Tony kind of pointed out, just super snowstorm type of climate. And in the East Coast, yes, you do have that, but nothing as close to what it's like in Canada. And it's more of like a mountain range. So that being on the East Coast, there really isn't a shit ton of mountains or anything. But if we were to look at like the actual geography of what the land looks like compared to the East Coast, that sliver in the East Coast compared to Canada, it would be wild. I mean, they're trucking it out there in Canada.
Yeah.
Here, not so much. There's a lot of flat land. Yes, there are some hills or whatever, but it is nothing compared to
the wilderness of
Canada.
Terrain. Yeah.
The terrain is nothing like it is there in Canada. Oh, man. But it is crazy. I mean, there's just so many. So, like, there's a lot of Cree here in Canada. Huge numbers. I mean, so we have like the Swanee. I mean, these are all different tribes. And you just have to think of how that really branched out over time. It's just wild.
Yeah.
So we're really just looking at kind of the East Coast here, Canada, Great Plains region, the Great Lakes. All of this is where they've been able to track the word, the name Wendigo. Where does that come from? It's the Algonquin people, their languages. And there's a million different versions that you could name this. Over 37. So when you look up Wendigo, you equally get Windigo. WIN. Windigo is just as frequent as Wendigo. Again, we're talking about languages and shit. I mean, when you look to the past for things like this, it can get so muddy and confusing. And honestly, props to the people that really dig their toes into this, like in academia, because I don't even know how they do that. You know, because you're looking at different versions and different.
I would think you would have to kind of you would have to equate it to like the way we have like different sayings throughout the United States, depending on where you're from, right? We say things certain ways. So I almost think that that's probably the same way. It's about the linguistics of like the accents and things that they had and why they say it the way that the different tribes and things say it. You know what I mean? There's a hint of the same thing, but they all have their own version of saying it.
Right, because one thing, if you look back at that map and you look at like how large those different areas are, you have to understand that this was a time when you couldn't call somebody from Michigan in Nebraska and say, "Hey, man, have you seen this thing? Or you done?" Like there was none of that. So all of the communications were extremely localized. So and
everything was word of mouth passed down by word. So who's not to say also that they just, slightly remembered the name slightly differently. And that's why you have all these different variations of it as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think of how difficult that was to even form the first language.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Jesus. Like it's honestly, we should have respect for our ancestors just for that, because how the hell I mean, I wouldn't want to be there.
Well, it makes you understand why there's so many different languages and why so many languages share similar words.
Similar things, yeah.
They're mainly what I have really gathered, even through looking through some papers, some peer-reviewed papers of people that traced back the words and all this stuff. Mainly the Wendigo is just symbolism. It represents the incarnation of winter, the embodiment of winter, right? And it's hunger. It's the personification of selfishness and cannibalism. Basically, these are legends that were orally told to remind people that they can become this evil spirit, if you will, if you go off into this cannibalistic route by being hungry or whatever, or even just thinking of yourself over the community, that you have that selfishness that brings on isolation, which can bring you to being a Wendigo.
Exactly. It's important because we talk about this a lot with some cryptid, especially ones that go back as far as like Native Americans having stories about it, is it always ties back to it being some sort of like a lesson that they're teaching. It's equated to the weather, the crops, the who you are as a human. It's always put into a perspective of, well, if you don't do this or if you do this, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I want to point out that this is important, that this is one of the few creatures we have talked about. We did werewolves not that long ago, which are sometimes associated with the mythology of this.
Yep.
This is something that a normal person turns into. This isn't like a Bigfoot or a skunk ape or a chupacabra.
You're not getting bit by something. It's usually your own actions that are turning you into this.
So this is an extremely different story than most of the types of things that we talk about, which is incredibly interesting. And there's actually a psychosis that is involved with this that I'm sure Bree has on the presentation.
Yep.
Yes, sir. So, so it basically it's just believed in the culture that it could be punishment through your thoughts or actions of cannibalism and being selfish and greedy that like Tony and Jamie were saying, like you turn into that. And through digging more in those peer-reviewed papers, I found that the proto-Algonquin, so after a lot of the phases of Algonquin, the translation for Wendigo actually meant owl. It doesn't. So this is something like I really wanted to point out is that our current understanding, even just all the pictures that we're using here today of a Wendigo, does not in any way, shape, or form look like what the natives created this thing to be.
No. And it was
There's
also
no deer horns. There's nothing like that.
And it was also said, and correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but and maybe you have a slide for this later, but it was also said too that like one of the ways that you can become these is because if you're a person already of magic and you do like dark magic, you turn into this version of this creature. Like you go on that darker path, so you become this dark creature.
That is 1000% a skinwalker, and we will revisit that later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I was going over this, I had a lot of, like mental connections to the Uinta skinwalkers with the Navajos and everything. And we'll get into it.
Yeah, it is. They are for some reason, the only thing that's coming into my head are like
very close,
are
like cousins,
like two protons that are like paired. That's the only thing I am thinking of.
Quantum entanglement.
Thank you, quantum entanglement. But I think it's interesting to think how a simple language and how something is interpreted can create this huge pop culture enigma for us, where now when we think of a Wendigo, this is what we're seeing, but really in their times it was not, and it translates to an owl, and that makes so much sense. Because like even just with owls in certain cases, like the dad or not the mom, but for sure the dad, like they will be eating those babies up.
Well, and there's a lot of crossover between owls and aliens for abductees. So just to connect it into deeper lore.
Yes, because owls of common in the symbolism that we see with alien abduction, absolutely. It's those eyeballs, the constantly watching eyeballs. Just wild.
Those somniferous almond eyes.
So, but more commonly in our present day, when we think of a Wendigo, it's just that it starts out as a human. And a Wendigo, you can either be consumed by a Wendigo, usually, but you don't have to shift into one per se. You don't have to like transform into a Wendigo. It could just be the thought of thinking of them, talking of them, dreaming about them, that could put you in the path of a Wendigo. Or back in more native times, if you weren't spiritually strong, if you were mentally and emotionally down, and you were if you felt really turmoiled as a person, it's like you're spiritually don't have your guard up and you've become vulnerable to a Wendigo because you are not like sturdy in your faith and your belief and your emotions, and you're not like a strong person with your feet on the ground. You've become so imbalanced that you are definitely vulnerable to a Wendigo.
This sounds like it goes back to that like kind of manipulation tactic though, of like if you're not spiritually sound, they're coming after you.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of a couple things, even things in like modern lore. or what we would call urban legends with Slender Man or like the Hat Man or Shadow People or poltergeist, stuff like that. Like things you can be easily manipulated by if you're not conscious of what's going on in your life.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing too is that I keep saying what I kept saying was that if you were service to self opposed to service of community, that it would put you in this position. And I think that makes so much sense where if you're in a tribe,
I get what you're saying.
They have to work as a community.
You have to have that mentality.
You can't have one person going off and doing whatever the hell they want.
You can't just
think of a community.
Job at McDonald's and get your own apartment and you are reliant upon the group of people who does the hunting and the group of people who does the farming and the group of people who does the children raising or whatever it is and however it's divvied up.
Mm-hmm. So I think what I think we've all realized and what we really, I think, are laying the groundwork here for is that the natives were really using this as the overall symbolism for be a part of the tribe. And a tribe member is someone that is there for the whole, not for the single. And you think about everybody, not just yourself. And if you do that, if you're just thinking about yourself,
you'll be outcast.
You're not only going to be an outcast, but you're going to be starving forever while eating people in the cold.
And this story perfectly kind of matches what I believe the reason basic religion gained a foothold is because if you go back 10,000 years, 5,000, whatever, right? Humanity wasn't like this, what we are today. So when you look at things like the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not steal, don't take shit that's not yours, right?
It's basic.
Thou shalt not
for the time.
Well, I think what it all goes back to is morality at the end of the day.
You're building a moral structure for the community. And this is kind of like the same thing for the Native
100%.
Americans, where
100%.
Be focused on the community and not yourself. Otherwise, you turn into a horrible beast that kills people.
Yeah, this was a version of manipulation that the same way it's used in religious manipulation today, right? This is like the precursor to it, the original version of it. Because basically a lot of these kinds of stories end up being inside the Bible anyways, just packaged in a completely different way.
Right. No matter which religion you believe in, if you believe in a religion, you'll see the same things pop up all across the world. And one of that reasons is that's how we survive to be where we are today.
I think that's the one thing that a lot of people don't understand when it comes to religion. And the more that you look into it, the more you realize that it literally just says the same thing throughout all these different religions, just in different ways. It's literally just using different languages and different phrases to say the exact shit.
Yes.
But it's because it goes back to a time where we weren't necessarily civilized. So how do you introduce the idea of being a civilized community without some sort of law? And how do you introduce a law without being like, I'm the one and only? You think of an outside figure or a source where you can then put it into a template of you do these things or this is what's going to happen to you.
Well,
that's how you get people. Yeah, that's how you get people to. I hate to use the word comply because I feel like it was necessary.
That's what you're doing.
Yes, but it was necessary for the time, or else you're going to have people just going crazy, killing and murdering and raping, and no consequence for that.
Exactly. It's for early versions of consequences.
Yeah.
Tater Waba, I ain't no tater, but we love taters here.
We love taters.
I love me a good tater.
If you really want to religiousize us, though, then you got to buy our merch.
Yeah, that's the only way.
Absolutely. So in the 17th century, though, this was really boring. I didn't want to do this, but I felt like I had to put it in here.
Here we go.
It's just the first written English introductory. I'm having problems. with
Introduction.
today. You guys know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Of the Wendigo, and it's from Jean Lejeune to his comrades there in Paris. And this is a quotes. I don't know why the quotes are missing, but he said, I just took a part of the writing. This devilish woman added that the Wendigo had eaten some and at the time,
I hate crime.
I know it is, but at the time, the closest translation to that was werewolf.
Yes.
So it's interesting that you name werewolf. We're going to see a lot of crossovers here with werewolves and skinwalkers. But he's just basically writing to his comrades about this, and he does later say that he doesn't think that it was an actual animal, that he thinks it was demonic. And I think that's what's turned for the Wendigo overall, is that it came from an idea of something you could, like a warning, don't do this, and then over time it's turned into this like demonic figure.
Yes.
Who knows if it's because of Polygyne? No one knows.
Well, I will say that it is not at all suspicious that somebody who is French would attribute this to werewolves.
French slander.
Because as we talked about in our werewolf episode,
I missed it.
Almost originated in French culture because of the fungus ergot, which led to lycanthropy because of the psychedelic hallucinations.
I wish I knew that, because I would have definitely gone down that rabbit hole and put it in here. I missed
we
the
definitely
werewolf.
talked about it.
We talked about it.
I wasn't there. I was absent. I was in Chicago.
You weren't there? Oh, that's right. You weren't there for werewolves. That's right.
Oh, that sounds like your fucking problem.
That's your fault. That's a you
it
problem.
was my problem for sure.
Thanks for not watching that episode, Brie.
Yeah.
I would have.
Wow.
I would have gone down that as a rabbit hole. But that's interesting that you say that, and I'm so happy that you say that, because that makes sense. That makes so much sense. And it's one thing I had to add in here, which I think is important, is that this predates the Salem witch trials by 60 years. So before we even had the idea of these witches, these evil demonic witches to be burned at the stake, we were already writing to other papels in France about the Wendigo.
The Wendigo.
The Wendigo.
1636. This little look at how baby head. Wow. Yes. So not present day, but like this really started to take a hold onto people. So Plains Cree Trapper, I pointed out a little bit of the Cree, which is mainly Canada, has all of the Cree tribes. There was a trader, his name was Swift Runner, in Alberta, Canada. He is a married man. He has 6 children.
Oh,
gross.
Okay, fertile.
In the winter of 1878. So it's winter time. He and his family, they all kind of hang out in their cabin all winter long. And the townspeople don't see him for a while. He doesn't come back until it's springtime. It is now 1879. So he's like, I'm going to head into town to get some supplies, which is interesting. It's been quite a long time, friend. But he comes back alone. And so the townspeople are just like, what the fuck? Where's your family, bro? And he's like, oh, they died of starvation. And all the people are like, well, that's interesting. Why are you alive? Like, how is your 6 children dead and your wife? but you look perfectly healthy. And he's just like, man, I don't know. But of course, authorities, because it's spread and because the word of the Skinwalker legend had already been passed around. I said Skinwalker. Oh, did I say Skinwalker? I meant to say Wendigo. My bad.
That's the word.
My bad. It's because I looked down, I saw Angela singing this. That's a Skinwalker. My bad.
My bad.
My bad. Because the legend of Wendigo has already been going around. The authorities immediately made their way over to his cabin and found bowls of blood and bones. And it was just a disgusting mess. And then he fessed up to eating them all.
Oh, wow. Fun.
During the winter, he just decided to munch on his family. One thing that I could not confirm that I had read in multiple reports was that he was about 25 miles from a supply area. And so that if he really was hungry, he didn't have to eat them. He could have waited and wandered and gotten supplies and came back.
You have to understand how far 25 miles was in 1878.
But I know, but they're like, hey, he could have waited for a storm to pass.
Like you can't just jump into your Subaru and drive 25 miles.
Mock up in the snow.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, though, Tony, if you had 6 kids in Danielle and you're like, am I going to walk 25 miles or should I just eat this bitch? Like,
if it's 1878 and I've got 6 kids at home, I might just venture out into the fucking wilderness and just be like, something's going to get
let
me.
Let it be. I mean, he ate 7 people.
I mean, listen,
people.
Bath salts make you do crazy stuff.
Yeah, maybe he had bath salts. I mean, my biggest thing is, did he smoke them? Was it a stew? Like,
you're like, what kind of seasoning do you put on that to be kind of tasty?
What do you do? Yeah.
So what's interesting, though, is that he claimed innocence the entire time. And one of his last, few words was that it wasn't him. He was possessed by the Wendigo. And the Wendigo made him do it. That he is the embodiment. He has become a Wendigo.
BRB.
I'm going to assume, actually, that he didn't season them at all and probably just ate them raw.
Does he look like he doesn't like seasoning?
Yeah, he does.
He looks pissed.
He does look angry. Hi, Mom. And hey, Corey in the chat. We see you.
Your mom is here?
No, Akashi Chris.
Oh, shit.
Although I won't lie, our show that we did earlier, she was sleeping on my couch the whole time.
Your mom?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She was showing at her house.
Okay.
And she came over here. I was like, you can come over here, but you got to be quiet. So she took a nap.
That's cute. These are, in fact, the remainder of bones, a little bit of skin, and some hair of the
These are the artifacts that they found.
Yeah. I was thinking goat head. Kind of. I don't know.
I don't know.
Weird. But it's fucked up. This was one of many instances that later really took a hold. It became a known thing, especially in the tribes at that time, of Wendigo psychosis, which Tony was talking about.
Talking about earlier.
Talking about it. This is where it originates from. This is something that they considered to be a huge factor of their tribe. Unfortunately, I don't believe that they actually had a psychosis. I think they were just starving. But the technical description is when you're craving blood, though. So that's a little bit different. It's like you're craving human blood, human flesh so bad, even if there's other options for you that you would still eat. a person. You're like, that
Right.
looks like a really good prime rib, but I think I'm gonna go for that little girl in the corner over there.
I was going to say,
That is
because
supposed to be the Wendigo psychosis.
gotcha. Because I was going to say that almost sounds like the people like who crossed, like what were they called? The cannibal people who ate themselves in the mountains in America.
Are you talking about the Donner Party?
Yeah, there you go. The Donner Party. Like, would they have been considered to have Wendigo psychosis because they ended up eating each other and having?
Yes.
Well, no, that's actually different.
No, because they didn't have other. They didn't have other
They
food
didn't
though. They
have a
had to eat
choice.
people. Yes, what I'm saying.
So the Wendigo psychosis is an actual psychological disorder, like lycanthropy is considered an actual psychological disorder, where people believe they have this need to eat human flesh or consume human blood. This is like a legitimate psychological
thing.
Arguable.
Okay, is it also okay? Could it be likened to also people who are like dead, like convinced that they're vampires and they have to drink blood?
Probably. I think all three of them are probably related in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. I read a lot of
Reboot.
I know, I'm trying to think.
The silence went like a second too long. It was like reboot.
Can't make more than 3 second silence before needing a reboot.
Yeah.
I read a lot of conflicting papers. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh yeah, this is a real thing. To no, it was just convincing people.
Well, there's a lot of that in psychology to begin with. Look at dissociative identity disorder, or
they've gone back and forth. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's people who say there's several confirmed cases of DID, and there's other people who say there's like maybe 1 or 2 actual real cases of this because it's so rare. And this kind of just falls under it. It goes on what paper you read. Maybe it's real, maybe it's not.
At what point do you consider something a disorder like that, right? Like how many people have to be affected by this kind of psychosis for them to consider it?
That's a good question.
That's interesting.
There's probably...
Like, is it 7? Is that like the magic number? They're like, oh, 7 people have it. It's a thing.
Well, you got to think about it though. Like, what does popular culture play into this, or what does the culture of the person play into this? Like, does it weigh heavy on their culture and who they are? So that kind of points to how they develop or how their psychosis develops.
Yeah.
Ooh, interesting.
Because if you have somebody who maybe is schizophrenic and they're a Christian and their family is all Christian, they might be labeled as being possessed by a demon, even though they're schizophrenic and they're not possessed and they don't need an exorcism. What they need is, like real help. Not saying that exorcism isn't real help. Don't come at me, Christians, if you're watching, which I doubt. But
it's not. It's not real help. Go get yourself a psychiatrist.
But what that's the thing, right? It's the culture around the person who is being diagnosed.
Yeah. Shit, son.
Yep.
Shit, son. People are learning shit on this show every fucking week.
Every day, man. No, every day. Every day.
This is definitely, I think, the current day Wendigo depiction that everyone thinks of.
Yeah, like in all of the movies and things, this is definitely the version of it that you're seeing in like Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Which is Hollywood peddles to us. Again, but I think it's made to be more that demonic, devil-looking, horn-like creature. Like they did that on purpose.
Yeah. And of course, did we mention how this isn't the original depiction of...
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so this is like post, I guess you would say colonialism.
Yeah, white people.
I keep wanting to say pop culture because it's hard.
Yes, they just look like people because they're people. Exactly.
Yeah. They look actually,
Yeah.
you know, the more that I looked into the original description, it looked a lot more like the description of the rake than it,
Mm,
the
Yeah.
yeah, the
modern
pale
day
skin.
interpretation
Yeah,
of a Wendigo.
I get you on that one. I feel it. Ooh, drink.
Stop.
Which we all know how much I love the rake.
Yeah.
We do.
Not at all.
We do.
I kind of actually feel like a lot of these, you know, we're going to do our battles. Remember I told you guys I wanted to do our battles? I feel like a lot of them are the same thing. So.
Our cryptid battles.
Mm-hmm. So, this is an interesting story that was sent to me by Jamie Billings. A more of a recent time sighting. Gino Mikis. He's out there in Canada who is an avid Bray could be a healer, great easily if she knew how. I know. I am naturally. I've had psychics tell me that too, actually. So anyway, Gino is an avid hunter, and he has spent most of his entire life actually in this area. And one day, while he was hunting with his wife and his grandson in the forest, this is northwestern Ontario, he heard a series of howls. They all did. So he said, when I let out Jamie with her third eye right now. Stop. When I let out the first scream, I thought it was a moose, but my mind changed when it screamed again and again. I heard many different animals in the wild, but nothing like this. I grew up hunting with my grandfather for the first 12 years of my life. We could hear it moving. It sounded kind of heavy, but my wife, she got scared. She picked up our grandson and started walking fast towards the vehicle. The group retreated. Everyone was like, get the fuck out of here. We're out. And then Mikas grabbed his phone and then started to record while his grandson was kind of mimicking them in a sense. So we shall watch. Tell me if you can hear. I didn't test this out. Farius.
No sound.
No sound at all?
No.
Is something happening?
Hold on. Do you hear anything at all?
No.
That's so weird. Okay, hold on. I'm sorry.
Is your tab muted?
I'm sorry, love. Here.
So, okay, are we good?
Yeah.
I hear nothing. No sound.
You hear that?
Barely.
Is this a, yeah, it's like a.
Yeah.
Is this in a separate tab, Bree?
You hear that?
Yeah, but again, it's very quiet.
It is. That's the video.
Oh, that's how quiet it is?
Mm-hmm. So I'll rewind it.
So it's really far away, whatever it is.
Yeah, for sure. See, I heard that. But so faint.
It's super faint. But it doesn't like, oh.
Okay.
You hear it?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh.
That was a kid.
They're all.
So okay.
You heard that
All right.
one?
Yeah.
So I'll tell you all the animals that is not.
Okay.
That is not a wolf.
Nope.
That is not a bear. It's not a mountain lion. But whatever, it is big.
That last one was kind of crazy.
Whatever it is, it's really big.
Not the baby though.
I was like,
And
that
it's
baby's
getting
ruining it.
closer.
Even the baby's so quiet. This whole video's so quiet.
Shh. You sent it to me.
I know.
That's really big. Whatever that is, that's a really big animal.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's not a person.
It's not a person. No. I agree.
No.
It's also not a fox.
I just want to hear the last 50
yeah.
again.
What does
Hold
the
on.
fox say?
Everybody mute. I'm muting everyone.
Okay.
Oops, wrong one. I meant to mute you and me.
Terrifying. Also, thank you so much, Gary.
Yo, the last
Thank
ones are
you.
the loudest.
Gary.
Yeah, that's
yeah, that's. I don't know. If I heard that, I would definitely be terrified and be like, need to get out of there. Although I have a feeling, Bree, that when we go Bigfoot hunting next week, because it's next week, we're gonna hear some of that in the forest and be terrified. So I guess we should get used to it.
I won't be terrified.
whatever it is, it's large. It's
large.
I've heard a lot. I've been out in the wilderness enough that I've heard foxes and mountain lions and bobcats and lynxes and all
Lions,
these
tigers, and bears on my.
No, yeah, it was. They sent the audio to their
national park or
the states. Yeah, it was their Department of what? Did I
DNR.
save that?
Yeah, it was like Department of yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they ruled out everything that it could be, and then was left with a. Besides the fact that they said it must have been very large,
and
whatever it was,
very large.
But
exactly.
again, rolled out the bobcats, the foxes, the deer, the bears. I mean, all kinds of things.
Yeah, the only thing I could compare to that would be like a bear, but that doesn't sound like a bear to me.
They don't roar like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's the only comparable thing that I could compare it to, but it doesn't sound like that.
Size-wise, I mean, yeah, but that's a very guttural, deep, loud, whatever that is. It's really fucking far away. Like it's probably like 4 or 5 miles away from where they're at.
We have a secret location that we actually had to sign a blood oath to get from some guys who are in what's the word I'm looking for, Bree? Masons. The Masons.
Go to
Freemasons.
Yeah, the Freemasons.
The Illuminati.
Some of them.
Yeah, we had to sign some blood oath to get the location of where to go to this Bigfoot location.
She's halfway kidding and halfway not. Actually, it's a huge
actually
secret. We have actually been sworn to secrecy.
Who were the guys, Bree? Who are we going
Bigfoot
with?
TV people, and I'm not gonna. We can't.
Oh, we don't want to say. All right.
But yes, it's a secret. This is Sierra's.
Super secret.
And that's what we'll tell you. It's the Sierras of California.
All I know is
Nevada.
that I'm flying in. Bree's picking me up. I have zero idea where we're going. I'm just along for the ride.
Honestly, that's what happened to me last time. And the last time, I'm like, this was like a super remote area. It was crazy. And then the person we're going with is like, oh, this is nothing like where we went last time. It is. And I'm like, what? Skirt. Huh?
Skirt.
So it's going to be, I was like, what? Yeah, we're gonna have to shit on the side of the woods, you guys. It's gonna be intense.
Yeah,
okay?
when Bree showed on Friday the list, and like one of the lists was like a bucket with a toilet seat on it, I was like, wow, this is gonna be fun.
No running
This is
water,
everything
no
I dreamed
electricity.
of.
I'm so excited to see the Bigfoots
No.
and poop in a bucket. This is
No
dream come true.
no GPS, no cell phone service for at least the last 3
Can't watch
hours of
TikTok.
travel. Oh no, she's not gonna be able to do anything. None of us.
No,
we won't
no
have
Starbucks.
Nothing. You're not gonna
I'm
have.
out.
You better bring like
anything.
14 fucking nicotine vape pens, ma'am.
Like literally, we're not gonna have anything.
No, we're going, Gary. Bree's already been with them once before. This will be my first trip and Bree's second time with them. We're going next week on Thursday.
Nobody's been serial murdered yet.
No one's been serial murdered yet.
So I will
have
say
not
that
been in a bucket.
that video that we watched, there's actually like I've seen like 5 or 6 different videos in different areas in the country where they've recorded these strange howls, like these deep guttural howls. So it's really interesting because I would really like to know what the fuck is doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like one of the people that we're actually going with on this expedition has gathered his own audio recordings of howls like that. And when he brought it to us the first time, it's hard to believe for me because I'm an outsider. I am not at all knowledgeable in what an animal should sound like. You know, like if someone told me, oh, this is a whatever wolf, I'd be like, okay, believable. So I don't know. So when he first showed us the different recordings that he had and some of the things that was left over, because they bring things like little fruits and bullshit to see if it interacts with it.
Mm-hmm.
And he also had, what was it, Jamie, like an apple or a pear, some bullshit.
Oh, it was an apple.
And it was like
apple.
scraped with these weird claw things. And it's cool, but I'm not knowledgeable in that nature aspect. I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be different when you're there. I feel like you have to hear it for yourself to know that it's weird. Oh, thanks, David. David's going to hook me up and show me how to be a healer. And it's kind of the fun being out there. And yes, Gary, we're wild.
Yeah, we're super wild. We're nuts.
That's
well, when you guys decide.
But here's the thing: we're the kind of people that, like, when we get something put in front of us as an opportunity, we just kind of take it at this point in our lives. We're like, all right, let's go. So if someone wants to tell us that they're going to take us into the forest and show us Bigfoot, we're like, all right, what do we got to lose? Let's do it.
We're kind of the crazy channel. If you guys,
we are the
figured
crazy
out
channel.
A little bit.
But listen, the main person that's taking us here, I trust wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
He's been a family friend for a very long time.
Can we say his name?
He's Chuck.
Yeah, Chucky McChuck.
Chuck.
We love Chuck. We love Chuck.
Chuck.
We did interview him a long time ago.
He's on our channel.
When he first came back from, I want to say he was on Hunting Bigfoot. I think that's the name of the show.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Animal Planet?
I think that's the name, Hunting Bigfoot.
Hunting
I
Bigfoot.
think that was on
yeah.
Animal Planet.
Some shit. When he first came back from there, we interviewed him because he
Mhm.
told us when he did it and how he couldn't tell anyone where he was and all this crazy shit. And we interviewed him then, and I was still not a believer. I'm a bit more of a believer now that I've been on Bobby's Cryptid Corner for over, what has it been, at least a year.
It's been a year now, yeah.
So I feel like I've gathered more of a belief system to at least be out there with an open mind. I thought I had an open mind last time, but I don't really know if I did. I was also very cynical about it. So this time should be different because we're really going to be roughing it.
Yeah, and
We're
also I
really
believe also
gonna be
someone
roughing
who's
it.
coming with us is into the more alien side of things, and so we might do some sky watching as well.
It's
Oh
not
hell
me.
yeah, we got that night vision.
That night
Bree
vision.
bought an EMF. Bree got an EMF.
Hell yeah, she did. Hell yeah, she did. I'm
Listen,
so
we're grabbing
excited.
this paranormal shit by its pants, and we're following it.
We
getting
really
real
are.
into
So
the
we're
spooky side of life.
We're planning to vlog the whole thing.
Yep.
We need to bring batteries and chargers because if things are crazy, it's gonna suck the life out of our shit. And there's
Listen.
no electricity.
Here's the thing, Joe D. Bree for a long time told me I wasn't allowed to play with Ouija boards. We can't careful what we're wishing in. All that's gone out the window. Bree's like, fuck it, bring it in, let's do it. She's finally
You
at
know
the
whose
place.
fault that is?
Mine.
Lou Elizondo's.
Oh, okay.
That's a long bridge.
Okay.
No, you guys know.
Okay.
You guys know I flat out am like, he's broken my. I don't
Fuck
love the subject anymore because of him and because of his followers. They've ruined ufology.
They've ruined
for me.
the ufologies.
Fucking ruined it for me, and now I'm looking elsewhere. Naturally, I'm gonna follow it.
Well,
Yeah.
before we get back to the subject at hand, then if you guys decide to do one of these things in an area where I can bring my toys, I will definitely go with you. And they know what my
Tony!
toys are.
Guns.
Why can't you just meet us?
Why can't you just come with us?
You're in California. It's in California, right?
Yeah, you
It's
could just
the
bring your
Sierra
guns out there.
Mountains.
No one's gonna
Like-
know.
No, I can't.
Yes, you can.
Actually, I think it's Sierra
I think
/
legally
Nevada
I
land, and if you're driving,
Legally,
it's
no,
fine.
but you just do whatever you want.
I'm going to
Also-
Peru. I don't have time to
Also,
go to...
Tony, you don't look like the type to care about legally.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's be honest.
Exactly. We will, Gary. We follow. We love you, Gary. We think you're the sweetest.
Gary is a legit ass person.
And if- And whenever you want to come on the show, the DMs are open. Let's work our schedules out.
I told Gary on Friday, I was like, "The fuck, Gary? The hell?
The fuck? The hell?
The literally, no offense to anyone else in the chat. Literally the coolest people on YouTube. Period.
Period.
But yeah, the Sierras, which is like one of the most heightened spots for Bigfoot, and even missing 411. If you watch the missing 411 things and the people that are hunters and they gone missing, motherfucker, Sierra National Forest. So you guys, if we don't show up in a week and a half,
Yeah. If we don't come back by the Monday after next,
call the
send out-
National Guard.
Yeah, send out.
Well, hopefully you do, because if you guys don't and this channel makes it big, I don't know how I'm getting paid.
Right, exactly. Millions of dollars. All right, so we got a Wendigo here. Everyone drink.
Drink.
That's a rake.
What the hell is that on the side of the road, though?
A cow.
Tell me that's not a cow.
Oh, that is a cow.
Recording.
Tu vois? Ben, tu le vois, regarde dehors. Non, je vois rien.
They French?
You are a star today.
Oh shit.
Ah!
Oh man,
That's creepy.
very cool.
No, thank you.
Oh, you know what it looks like?
A rake.
You remember when we did the top 10
Il mange,
pop-up?
relax. Là.
Or the
Yes.
top 10? And we
Oh
my God, yeah, that one
demon
guy's
in the
video.
fucking backyard?
In the backyard, yeah, this looks super similar to it. I get what you're
Doesn't it?
saying. The way it was like
Because
lurched over.
It was a rake. The video is marketed as a rake. And we also played it for when we did the rake episode. It is a rake.
The rake's not real.
Well, so here's a problem that we come into with a lot of these, especially modern day videos, is I think that they call it all of these different things: the rake, the Slender Man, the Wendigo, just so they get more clicks and views on it. But also, this is the more traditional version of the Wendigo.
Yes,
It looks more like this.
I like that we say Wendigo like there's an A.
I know. I'm so sorry. Y'all know that I can't.
No,
pronounce
I
anything.
did that first. I feel like I gave that to you.
Eat your baby.
Dango,
It's your baby.
Yes, a very Fresno light collar vibes, 100%.
But the way it moves forward and then it moves back and moves forward again, just like that video that we watched the other week.
So I feel like it looks like a traditional Wendigo. But then when we look at these pictures, of course, it's because more like this. Because when we look at the pictures, we're seeing more, not traditional, more pop culture-ized versions of a Wendigo, which gives it antlers. But realistically, it's supposed to kind of look like this thing right here, which is awfully similar to a rake.
Very, very similar. Which kind of goes into when we talk. I think it was when we had that episode where we talked about how modern day urban legends are kind of retellings of, like more ancient creatures and legends. And it's just like they're recycling it.
Oh yeah, putting a new bow on it, repackaging it.
Right.
Because, to me, that is scary. That's way scarier than Mr. Baldface.
If I ran into a pale, creepy creature in the forest that sort of walked on all fours and had like a weird, fucked up face, I would definitely shoot it. And I'd shoot that too.
Yeah, but like a small white thing or like a big ass deer-headed skull thing, that is scarier.
Well, yeah, but you can shoot the small white thing.
That's what she said.
Haha. So this thing, I only have it because Jamie sent it to me. However, it is about skinwalker encounters, not Wendigos. But
there's Wendigo ones in there as well.
Right, but that's not the main thing. But
no, but that's like the weird. That's the weird line that this cryptid kind of walks though, because it's like this. What really at the end of the day, if you're just visually seeing something, do you know it's a skinwalker or a Wendigo? You know what I mean? If you're only seeing something for a split second and you're just making your mind up at which one of these, I can feel like so many stories could get crossed over between the two of these.
Yeah,
exactly.
To be honest, now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, the visage of the deer skull with the antlers. If anybody really knows the history of Canada and the Northeast and that area, if you go really far back, Christopher Columbus wasn't the first European to discover North America. The Vikings actually showed up first, right? And what did the Vikings wear? They wore these helmets with horns, and they were these huge, big motherfuckers with these huge, fur out, cloak type things. And if you've never seen anybody wear something like that, and you come across this 6 foot big fucking Viking with an axe or whatever, and they've got these horns on their helmet, and they're wearing an elk skull or a reindeer skull on their helmet, how does that not become your boogeyman?
Yeah, for sure. No, for sure.
Or
how does your boogeyman not turn into that?
No, for sure.
It does. I think it does for sure. Yeah. And I think that's kind of the theme I've at least been trying to trickle into Bobby's Cryptid Corner at the end, is that there's so many crossovers for these cryptids, where we might be able to sci-fi some of them, but then if we were to look at the bigger picture here, like what does it group as? And if we looked at this whole group, the whole motif of it all, we might fact that. And I feel like a lot of the times we're talking about this same fucking thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I took that and I was like, okay, but actually they're so similar. And like Jamie was saying earlier, how like, oh, if you mess with darker magic, you turned into that. Well, that is a skinwalker. A skinwalker is a witch that has dabbled in very dark black magic that then turns into a skinwalker, where then it can shift. It's a shapeshifter ultimately. And so I wonder if we're talking about the same thing. I mean, if you type in skinwalker, you're going to get the exact same pictures as if you were to type in Wendigo.
Wendigo, yeah. Drink.
And that's kind of the interesting thing when you look at the two lores, is what is that like dark magic that these witches are, you know, like diving into? Is it the consumption of human flesh? Is it like
I don't know if it
anti-cultural things that are seen as bad?
When it comes to the skinwalker, it seemed like what it meant by like dark magic is like more magic that was purposing yourself more for like nefarious things, like exactly what they're talking about, like the human version that turns into the Wendigo, right? Like you're being selfish, you're only caring about yourself, you're doing things that are not about the community. So it's almost that same thing about, because it's like you're a magic person, you're a shaman, you're doing things for the community, but instead of doing that, you're turning your back on it and being more just about yourself.
Right. It's like that self, it kind of goes back to when we talked about zombies and that consumerism, that self-consumerism. And thank you.
Good night, Gary.
Good night, Gary. Thank you.
And thank you
Come
so
on the
much.
show.
We love you. Come on the show. Damn us.
We need
and Jeremy. You guys should come together.
We need a day where we get them on Butt Stuff and Bobby's Cryptid Corner.
On Bobby's Cryptid Corner.
We could do a UAPX week.
UAPX week, yes.
So let's watch this. This looks good.
We're gonna watch all 5. All right, fuck it.
You sent it to me.
Anyone planning on going camping in these waning days of summer?
This is a reaction.
Your morning AeroPress
YouTube, this is a reaction video, so this is fair use. What just happened?
For use. We'll DM you. I'll DM you on Twitter, Gary.
I don't know what just happened. My bad. We're just recapping, you know, we've been looking at this crazy dude. This crazy eater. Purple people eater.
Yes.
Oh, back.
Anyone planning on going camping in these waning days?
Yeah, we're going camping. And
we actually are.
Need help.
Yeah. In these waning days.
And we're not prepared.
Do you guys have a French press for coffee?
No, Tony, we don't have anything. It's going to be awful.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Now that
I told Jamie today, just imagine being so uncomfortable. And then that should help us figure out what we need.
And then I made a joke and Kari got offended.
Well,
Brie was like, think about like the most uncomfortable you've ever been. And I was like, every time I hang out with you guys, and it was Kari and Brie I was with. I thought it was funny.
That is funny.
Right?
More children. If anyone ever says this phrase to you, feel free to run away at speeds previously unknown to man.
Yeah,
knock them out. you have my full support.
Oh no, he's
However, if the individual in question
Canadian.
ends up being a Wendigo,
He did his hair
probably
like
not
that
gonna
on
have much luck
purpose?
with either of those tasks. They're just too strong and too spooky, and they get what they want most of the time, as evidenced by the story told by a
Look at
now
that.
deleted Reddit user. I wonder how they're doing these days. I'll do my best to abridge this story for the sake of the length of today's video. So
Oh
here
my
we go.
God.
A man
Yeah, I
has
was like,
both
why
him
are
and
we
a
watching this
3-year-old
whole
son
video,
all the way to
ma'am?
town on a camping trip.
But
As
she
he
sent
beckons
it
to
to
his super
me.
serious partner, our storyteller
Ma'am.
found the classic.
I didn't send it
An
to you
enormous
with the intention of you
interior,
putting it
flames,
inside of
and
here.
this Wendigo
What's I supposed to do with it?
Walked along the Wendigo away.
I'm
This
just
is-
showing
is
you
this one
different
of those
encounters and
videos where-
versions. Yeah, just
Forward
go to the
guy
next
just
slide. Fuck this. I don't
talks.
care about this. Yeah, he
Post-secondary
just talks the whole
education,
time.
taking a
Go to the
course
next
on
one.
Native American literature.
Do you
The Wendigo
guys
that
still
the
hear
Wendigo
it?
here is described
Yeah.
so differently than they remember. The frogs don't really do all that much to protect against such a creature.
You see what
Damn
happens
shame.
when your
They then
service
moved
is
to a new
self
place on the
and
edge
not the community?
Wow, yeah. We will come visit you in Kansas. That's not a joke. We'll come stay at your house and sleep on your couch.
I have to. Yeah, there's yeah.
We will
We have
at any time.
couches. We have several.
Yeah. Perfect. We'll come over. We'll hang out. And I want you to make barbecue for us because I know
I
how
will.
good your barbecue looks.
You guys, it's still
More
going.
tread with nowhere.
That's fine. I'll just mute it right here. There you go. It's muted. I muted it. There you go.
So I guess we got to do the
Okay.
the thingy thing, right?
Are we at the end?
That's the end. We're only an hour and 17 minutes into this.
That's okay. That
Because
this
Bobby
wasn't.
isn't
This
here.
wasn't. And it wasn't
Yeah.
a deep. This one wasn't like. This one was pretty straightforward. You know what I mean? Like there's
It
very
was.
much like documented scientific information about what the lores and where this came from inside the Native American history. So this is like a little bit different than some of the cryptids that we're talking about because this is something that was actually well documented because it was a belief system by these people.
Right.
So we'll let.
Service
I'll go
yourself.
first. I'll go first. I'm gonna go full hardcore and middle bitch this one because, like Bree was talking about earlier, I feel like this encompasses so many different versions of cryptids and like what they are today. You know what I mean? Like skinwalkers, rakes, all these different things. So I can't say that it's a sci-fi, but I also can't say it's a fact. It's somewhere in that middle ground of obviously there's something that goes back to the Native American history that they were involved with. To me, this one doesn't sound necessarily so much like a spirit or an encounter that they like had, but more of like a cautionary tale to their people and not like a solid physical thing that was really happening. So I'm gonna have to, it's a hard middle bitch for me on that.
Bree.
Tony, you go.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, Tony, you go.
Okay. So, honestly, I gotta agree with Jamie here. I'm gonna middle bitch this, and for a lot of the same reasons. I mean, the cautionary tale, keeping a community together. If you're building this type of community and you're building a society, you got to have a belief system and you got to shun certain types of activities and things, and people need to work for the community, especially when it's so small and it's not interconnected like we are today. So the whole idea of, even though winter is really bad, don't eat your neighbor is kind of like a good idea to have. And it follows along with just a lot of different things. And like we talked about throughout the whole episode, with a lot of religions mirror this type of thing.
Morality.
But I will say the howling, the weird guttural howls in the woods and everything really make me think that there is something out there. Is it a Wendigo in the common idea of a Wendigo, or is it a Bigfoot, or is it there's something out there? Do I think it is like this man-eating emancipated creature that grows bigger and can't satiate its appetite? No, but I think the tale is good because it created cohesion in a community.
Mm-hmm. All right, Bree, it sounds like you're also middle bitching this is what it sounds like. Is that correct?
Yes, and I will lean. I'll just stick with middle bitch to be fair. Okay. For the same reasons that you both said. I don't believe that they're the same thing. What the I think it's one of those things where like they started something to warn people, and maybe over time it turned into something.
Like we say that with a lot of things. It's like you're willing it into existence.
And I think that especially when pop culture came into play and we saw the Wendigo movie, and then it just took
Wendigo
off from
movie.
there. Wendigo movie. It took off from there, and there's so many movies now. There's so many Wendigo things, and it's not what it meant to be. And it who was that? Hello. Oh, it's
Hello.
Janae.
Janae,
Hello.
hello.
I really do think that it started off of just like a warning, and possibly from people believing this, and then the crossover when we talk about werewolves and skinwalkers, that we're maybe talking about the same thing. And who knows, if not really knowing what something looks like and you group things together visually, if you just add to one entity. You know what I mean? Like what if we have ideas about werewolves, we have ideas about skinwalkers, and then we have ideas about wendigos, but when we close our eyes, we're seeing the same visualization of a being, and it fits for all three. Do we just keep adding to their overall power by us collectively seeing one figure, one look of something, and adding all these different attributes to it? Do we create a being and just make it bigger that way?
For sure.
Like the rain.
Exactly.
But at the same, that I'm in a middle budget for that reason, because I believe in that, but I also think it would be wild if there really was something out there that's
Like
eating people, consuming people, or turning you into them. Who knows? I mean, we're going off into the woods soon, so we'll try
find
to
out.
record some things, and I really wouldn't be surprised if we came across something like that.
So usually when Bibby's here, we ask him for his movie recommendation, and I made this wonderful video for him. I am going to play it, and then Tony is going to take his position and give us a
Yes.
movie recommendation. So this was Bobby's present.
So, since Bobby's not here, I guess I'll have to do this.
Exactly.
I actually
That
have
old piece of shit.
2 movies. Fucking Bobby. So the first
Wow.
one is called Dark Was the Night. It is actually really good. It's a kind of a B horror movie, suspense movie.
It's the best kind.
The first, it's from 2014. It's called Dark Was the Night. The first, like, 2/3 of the movie is really, really good. And I watch a lot of horror movies. This movie is really good.
Yeah.
Once, like, the CGI, they just didn't have the budget for it. So then it kind of gets the suspense and, you know, suspending your believability kind of goes away a little bit. But oh my God, the first 2/3 of this movie is really good.
Really?
The second one is actually the remake of Pet Sematary.
That's what Vanessa said.
No way.
Yes. So
Okay, this is the first one. First
Dark
one.
Was the Night. Super good movie. Super good. The remake of Pet Sematary follows the story, Stephen King's story, more closely, because a Wendigo is what is actually affecting this town and the pet cemetery. It is responsible for everything that happens in that book and in that movie. The reason why the semi-truck hit the little kid was because the Wendigo had taken over the mind of the truck driver and was distracting him.
Shit.
So, like, and in the remake, they specifically they kind of hint
this one?
at, yeah. They
Yes.
hint at the Wendigo and this creature in the woods that is manipulating these people. So it's very good to watch.
How long ago was that?
That was 2018 or 2019, I think.
Ooh.
Bree, what's the word where you pick off the buttons off a taxi cab seats with your butt?
Fuck.
What word is that?
That's our favorite one. You
I
use
know.
your butt cheeks to grip the buttons off of taxi cabs.
I can't think of the word, and I don't know why, but that description just popped into my head right now.
I don't know. Butt munching.
No, I wish I remembered. I don't know why I thought about that. Sorry, I apologize.
Bothered water.
Question for everybody: does anyone have anything going on the rest of the week? I think we're done for the rest of the week, and we'll be back next week.
Yeah, we don't have anything this Friday, do we?
No, we just have next week. We have next Tuesday. We have a Bobby's Cryptid Corner. We're doing the Falark again.
The Falark.
I don't know how to say it. It is a hybrid version of the vampire and wolf. It is like it starts off as a vampire and then they turn into werewolves.
The ritual.
I'm fucking down. That's got to be from
Yeah.
like Kazakhstan or some shit.
Yeah, it's like Slavican or something. It's great. I was like, oh, this is
yeah.
right on track.
The
So we
ritual's
love
good.
you guys. The next time you're going to hear from us, we'll be doing smoke signals from the forest.
Mhm.
Unless I randomly go live this weekend. I don't know. I might.
Oh yeah, she might go live from Disneyland. Maybe we'll have another pop-up stream on Friday. We don't know. You guys keep an eye on that.
They're
But we love you
unpredictable.
guys.
They're unpredictable.
We love you guys all. You should follow Bree on Twitter at Matt's Bree. You should follow Tony at Botwater, and you should not follow me because I don't have a Twitter. If you want to follow the show, you can follow at Toddy Waba. And all of that is down in the link of our descriptions. You can find where to go and all of our links. And we will see you guys next week. Have a wonderful rest of your night. Everybody get naked. And don't forget that we do have the Berea the Explorer shirt.
Explorer shirts.
So remember to go buy those. Moon Pie already got theirs. It's on the way already. It's been shipped. So we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Hi.